What's up, everybody? Let's talk Jets radio. Hope you guys are all enjoying your rainy, windy weekend. I'm not looking forward to getting out there tomorrow at MetLife. The conditions are going to be brutal. You can almost tell this is going to be a low-scoring kind of defensive battle, and I'm not really sure if that favors the Jets. Starting just with the coaching and a lot of things this week that came out that really annoyed me. Just starting with Saleh. It appears that he's treating this game just like it's any other game. He keeps talking about staying in the moment. We can only focus on the present. And he tries to give you all these good quotes that in theory might sound okay, but this week is completely different. For me, this week is personal. This week is about ending an 8-year drought over your division rival, and it is a divisional game. You have a chance to go 2-0 in the division, so treating this just like it's any other week, I'm not sure I agree with that mindset. And then hearing some of the quotes from him and from Ulbrich, it almost feels as if there's a stubborn nature to how they're coaching this defense instead of adapting it to what their players do well, mainly in regards to Sauce Gardner, who, he's one of the best corners already in football in just year 2. Why not utilize him to take away the opposing team's best receiver? Now, you might not be seeing true number ones over the next couple of weeks, but just hearing these quotes that, we're a zone team, this is what we do it well. I mean, it's been quite a few weeks now, going back to last year and now the start of this year, in particular last week, where teams are starting to expose some things, in particular on third downs, finding the soft spots in your zone. And it doesn't appear that there's really a willingness to adapt. So that bothers me a little bit. And then also hearing from Hackett all the excuses about why Breece Hall didn't get a bunch of touches, why McCole Hardman hasn't been getting touches, we don't have the ball enough. And, he was a guy that worried me initially, before we got Rodgers. And then you say, all right, him and Rodgers have chemistry. Rodgers can check out, anything he doesn't like. You start to trust it a little bit more, But now he's responsible for trying to build up a young quarterback that was completely lost last year, and I'm not sure he's capable of it. And the one quote that was incredibly alarming was, how in the hell do you not realize the speed of Micah Parsons last week? We underestimated him. That's not acceptable, dude. He's one of the best defensive players in all of football. Like, to not have a game plan for him just doesn't make any sense. And the same thing I said on the other side of the ball, to not really have a game plan and to not adjust or adapt to the best offensive player in CeeDee Lamb, these are things that are serious concerns. And so, looking to this week, you need to be able to get off the field on third down, and you need to be able to keep your offense on the field on third down. And I feel like this could be a game where the quarterback that makes the fewest mistakes might be able to win it. Time of possession is obviously going to be huge. Establishing the run is going to be huge. I wonder if the Jets can do that. I worried about it prior to the weather report, but now I think it could make things a little bit more difficult. Just not having that vertical threat, not really having a quarterback that strikes fear in a defense. And I've brought up Zach a number of times already this week. I don't want to harp on him, only because in spite of what you might think in my videos, I am legitimately rooting for the kid. There's nothing I would love to see more than everybody tagging me in some of my old videos, once we get to November and December and Zach Wilson is cooking. I would absolutely love that. But at some point, I think we have to be realistic about what we're seeing on the field, and the fact that we just continue to lower the bar further and further and further and say, this is progress. He didn't completely suck. He made a few good plays. He had 2 good throws. His footwork looks a little bit better. We're lowering the bar so much, and yet the results as far as completion percentage, turning the ball over, not putting up points, all of these things are remaining the same, while in his 2+ years, anytime another quarterback takes over, it looks so much easier. And I'm not saying coaching doesn't get some of the blame for that, because they do. But you're looking at other offenses, and again, coordinators and quarterbacks both. Things just look so much easier. I mean, watching the Niners with Brock Purdy on Thursday night, this was a 7th-round pick. He had to earn his spot, and the things that Shanahan does for him, you could tell this is a kid that's been coached up. So clearly, coaching is an issue, but there's also things that Zach is just not doing. or things that you'd like to see him do better at this point in year 3 to give the offensive line maybe a better chance, getting the ball out quick. The injury report, Tony Adams out, Dwayne Brown, he's banged up. You wonder if he's going to play. I don't think he practiced all week, if I remember right. I know he was out, I think, Wednesday, Thursday. And if he's not out there, I would assume it's going to be Billy Turner, because I don't think they're going to try to shuffle AVT if he hasn't practiced there. Not to mention Schwitzer's out also. So you're kind of thin on the O-line a little bit, and this just feels like one of those games where it's going to come down ultimately to coaching. Like, the quarterbacks are going to be big, but I don't think either quarterback is going to throw the ball all that much. I think this one is going to be about game plan. It's going to be about whose team is better prepared. And unfortunately, Belichick has absolutely owned the Jets. I think he's in Zach Wilson's head a little bit. And we all remember the 54-point game in Saleh's rookie year, and then the special teams return last year that put a dagger in Zach Wilson for that season. So a lot of things in play here, but ultimately I do sort of feel like this is a must-win game. You're not going to chalk up any home game to an automatic loss, but the Chiefs and the Eagles being the next 2 home games, those are not going to be easy with Zach Wilson as your quarterback. It's going to be hard to go toe-to-toe with those offenses, not to mention the Eagles' defense is pretty damn good and pretty fast also. So you're almost looking at, if you lose this game, you must win at Denver, which is not going to be easy either. With all the Sean Payton and Hackett stuff, you're almost looking at this game being a must-win. Otherwise, you could be staring at minimum 2-4, possibly 1-5, and at that point, what are we really talking about as far as expectations for the season? So, my hope is still to find a way to just keep it interesting. I would love to be 3-3 after the first 6 going into the bye. Just to keep that glimmer of hope that maybe if you hang around long enough, and a few teams get knocked out, maybe you could be there in the end. You could have some of those games where we're in the hunt, where we're in the playoff picture. And if you sneak in, hearing these quotes from Rodgers on McAfee, however unrealistic most people probably think it is fun to think about if somehow this team can sneak into the playoffs and Rodgers is ahead of schedule and he can come back and just lead this team to something special. Probably unrealistic, I completely get it, but we need something to hold on to after Rodgers went down. And unfortunately for me, just the coaching staff, that's not something I'm very excited about. Zach Wilson hasn't shown me enough to get excited yet, so I don't know what else to look forward to other than the tailgate. So talk to you guys later. Have a good weekend.